Hi, you guys. Brian here again. So, the last episode, well, I'll get into that in a minute. Anyway, I just want to say real quick to always remember God in your life and to give Him the glory in everything. He deserves it. He is our God, and we need to remember to worship Him every day, even though He knows and we know how busy our day is most of the time. We should always give Him the glory for everything that we do. Anyway, I wanted to say this week that I got a little bit beyond my time limitations that I set for myself in the last episode. I ended up going a little over half an hour with that one. I probably could have done a little bit better with that by breaking it in up into maybe two or three episodes instead of just the one, which is what I'll be doing moving forward to try to keep these episodes a little bit shorter and easier to digest. So just let me know if you'd like to see me break that one up, that last episode, into more palatable episodes, and I'll see if I can do that. I'll definitely be doing it moving forward. I would rather just keep that one kind of the way it is, and we can move on from there. I'm still kind of fine tuning things as I go along, so I hope you guys will be all right with that one for the time being. Another thing I'd like to address real quick, going into this episode's topic, is that I don't want you guys to think that I'm trying to tell you what to believe or what not to believe. That's not the case here. I'm really not trying to do that. I'm telling you what I believe and the reasons for my beliefs in those things. But I don't want you to simply take my word for anything. I would rather that you kind of watch these episodes, take them in, and then do your own research. Look into my perspective a little bit deeper. Do your own research into these topics to determine for yourself if you do agree with my perspective, maybe you don't agree with it, or maybe even come up with your own perspective based on your own research and common sense. So I really, my reason for doing this is to hopefully bring you closer to God. But in the long run, I really encourage you to do your own research. Listen to what I've got to say. I hope you do that anyway. And then do your own research. Read your Bible for yourself. Research these topics online and determine for yourself what you want to believe or not believe. But the only thing I pray for you is that you go at it with an open mind and not any preconceived notions. So, taking that into account and moving on from there, I would like to, touch on real quick, what from the last two episodes, to just kind of keep in mind, that everything works out, from my perspective again in this, when we add God into the mix. When we do the math, a little bit common sense and understanding that God created everything based on these two things for ourselves. We talked about the rest of the Genesis creation story last episode in the Bible, and also, according to science, how there was apparently, according to them, a second cosmic accident, and where somehow life was created from non life and their narrative on how this might have happened. So we also talked about creation versus evolution and which one, from my perspective anyway, made more sense or makes more sense. So for this episode, and this probably should be a pretty quick episode, I'm thinking, but I want to talk about stability, like the stability in our universe. And, we can see that while there seems to be a certain amount of chaos, or it would seem that there is, it's all really rather fine tuned and harmonious. Everything has its place. It's really not even close to being the kind of chaos that could be happening regularly. So sometimes from my perspective anyway, I think that some of the chaos that we see out in the universe, supernovas, black holes, and that sort of thing, are really more like system designs, things that come from God that are designed to be that way. So, because otherwise, I think, if it was just straight up chaos, everything would be chaotic. It would just be a mess. Nothing would be tuned up the way it is right now throughout the universe. But really being that when we're talking about the universe, it's really kind of out of our jurisprudence, so to speak. All that stuff is really pretty far away from our direct experience here on Earth. So I would really, right now, just rather focus on our direct experience here on our planet. So, looking at it from that perspective, I guess you might say that our solar system is exactly the way it needs to be, as well as our direct orbit around the sun to promote life on this planet. Everything works in harmony to keep life on this planet. So we are stable here. And it doesn't really matter in the entire time that life has existed here, whether you choose to believe OET, which we talked about before as Old Earth Theory, which states that life has existed on this planet for millions of years, or Young Earth Theory, YET, which states that life has been on this planet only in the 6 to 10,000 year range, according to, if you're reading the Genesis story, looking at it, that God created everything one day at a time as we know a day, and not that that means a longer extended period of time, that each day means more than it actually means. So there among religious scholars, we're looking at two rules of thought there, and it should be considered, I think, regardless of what you look at, whether you think that the Earth is millions of years old or just thousands. In this case, really doesn't matter. You still have to kind of take into consideration that the slightest variance of our orbit or any number of other cosmic events could have happened, but never have. In other words, anything could have happened along the way in these number of years. Anything could have happened to end life on this planet easily. I mean, to wipe out life on this planet could have been a really, really, just anything could have happened. And if things were completely chaotic, that could have happened really easily. We probably wouldn't be here today. But something, in my opinion, has protected us all this time. And like I said, it doesn't matter whether you choose to believe millions of years or thousands of years. Something or someone has protected this planet from that kind of thing happening. And I mean, yeah, over the course of time, there's been proof. They found that there have been some asteroid hits to this planet, but from time to time. But nothing has ever been of a scale that would wipe out life on the planet. None of it has. So, looking at it from that perspective, and no matter which theory you adhere to, none of this has ever happened. We've never encountered a life-ending event here through all that time, which to me kind of doesn't really make sense. It should, if things were as chaotic as and just accidental and just happen, without any interference from a more intelligent source, then it would seem to me that the odds would be against that, strongly against that. That there should have been some really bad and ugly things that have happened along the way, including extinction events, multiple extinction events, I would think. So, and I think the one in particular that I'm thinking of is not so much asteroid hits or anything like that, but the biggest one that I can think of that would really wipe out all life on this planet as we know it would be our orbit. Our orbit is stable, and it's always been stable. The entire time that there's been life on this planet, our orbit has been as stable as you can get. And so, looking at it that way, I mean, because you got to figure we move just a few degrees, just slightly in towards the sun. If our orbit changes like that, everything burns up. You move it out a little bit, just a few degrees out, and everything freezes. You lose life on this planet either way, extinction events, both. So, it would take out all the myriad forms of life on this planet. I mean, something like that could easily do that. So, my personal conjecture is that God's hand has guided us for many, many years and kept us in the perfect orbit all this time. It doesn't make sense to me that this has happened as yet another cosmic event. So I think, in my opinion, without his guiding hand, chaos would be the rule. It would not be likely that anything other than him could have prevented any number of multiple life-ending or types of events on this planet. It wouldn't take much to make that happen. It could have happened really quite easily. So looking at things from this perspective, in my humble opinion, gives us basically four now, zero or near zero probability events, 0% probability events. We're talking about the Big Bang, creating matter from non-matter as a cosmic accident, not likely, like 0% probability. Life from non-life, the same, 0% probability. Evolution is an accidental thing, 0 or near 0% probability. And the stability of our solar system and our orbit around the sun as an accidental thing, I think also near 0% probability. For this kind of a time frame, we're talking thousands to maybe millions of years, right? Depending on which school of thought you adhere to. So my conclusion, anyway, using both science and common sense, leads me to believe that God created everything as described in the Genesis biblical story. I seriously don't believe any of this happened as some cosmic accident, and I don't believe that Stephen Hawking was correct either in his assumption that gravity could have created everything, being that if you go back to the beginning, even gravity didn't exist, according to the Big Bang. It was just nothingness. Gravity wasn't even there. So gravity can't create something if gravity doesn't exist. So anyway, moving along. The next episode, I'm going to touch on the subject of dinosaurs and why I believe that we obviously know that dinosaurs existed. We found plenty of their bones, right? So I want to touch on that subject and why I believe that they could have easily existed on this planet at the same time as man has during this time. So it's kind of a weird subject and kind of a different way of thinking about it. But to me, it makes sense, and so I want to share that with you guys. So until then, be safe, be kind to others, love your family and your friends, and those close to you, and be sure to also always love God and His only begotten Son, Jesus Christ. So until next time, you'll have a wonderful day, and I'll talk to you again soon. Bye-bye.